man. It's gonna be huge. At least Warcraft is gonna be definitely huge. But also, what else is huge? Come on, man. We gotta shout out our Patreons, man. I'll tell you what else is huge.
Strap onto your seatbelts and get ready for the brand new Lich Class. We speculate on this as more and more info points out a death theme expansion with the Lich King making a return. Otherwise, why would they add an ICC portal in 8.3, huh? Also, we get to test bosses from the Ny'alotha raid, and Warcraft 3 Reforged looks amazing! Sit tight and enjoy until the end, cause we have another great one for you. Oh my god, we're gonna have a crazy one today, man. But hey, what up everybody? Welcome to On Cooldown. Welcome back to On Cooldown. It's episode 72, your weekly WoW news show. And guess who's coming back?
Oh, I know. It's probably like a cool dude, right?
Yeah, your mama.
My mama? Finally answer my calls. But, you know, I mean, we are talking obviously about Bolvar 4 Dragon, which, I mean, we kind of knew about it going into BFA, but you guys will get all the cool, juicy stuff in a bit, so stay tuned. But, you know,
yeah, and
like
also the goddamn new Lich Class. Now,
oh my god.
Yeah, man, this is a leak from a very big website in China, of all places, but we'll get into that. And also, what we're taking a look at Warcraft 3 Reforged
and oh my god, I actually got into the raid this week, the PTR raid 8.3 Ny'alotha, Rathian. Need I say more? You guys gotta stay tuned, so check it because it's gonna be juicy.
And juicy is also subscribing to the channel, and more important than that, hitting that notification bell, baby. YouTube loves it, we love it, and let's just kick it off then, okay?
Alright, let's hit it!
Now I know Bellular, Taliesin, and Evital and others already covered the idea of a Lich King expansion coming, and don't worry, Flame will tell you all about our take on it in a minute, but there is something else these YouTubers didn't take into account. You ready for this? A brand new Lich Class. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Marcelian, you dirty, clickbaity, speculative, Blizzard shield piece of shit, you. Come on, man, just hear me out on this. Our boy Vincent from the Discord community has dug up an alleged new leak on oh boy, Chinese forum of all places, and out of the kindness of his heart, he also offered to translate all the info there, and boy did we hit it off on Discord after that. The website in question has been a go-to source for 20 years in China, and it has a WoW category where lots of players go to find news, guides, players to play with, and so on. On top of being heavily moderated, it's also a known WoW leak source which has said information in the past that came to fruition. That being said, we shall take all this discussion with a grain of salt, okay? Now think about it. There are solid clues now that the new expansion will have a death theme, and we will see a lot of Bolvar in there, so it will make sense to bring in a Lich Class. The leak states that Lich is going to be a hero class to start at level 50, which will be approximately equal to level 100 with the level squish. It will have a DPS spec based on death magic and a tank spec, based on frost magic. They will wear cloth, which would leave a lot of room for counter arguments since cloth doesn't have that much armor. Hence, we don't have any cloth tank at the moment in WoW, but I can see them making it work. Having a Lich as a class would also satisfy my and your need for a Necromancer in the game, because remember, the description of a Lich in Warcraft 3 says, now, Liches wield frost magic along with their own considerable necromantic spells. So necromantic spells based on death magic seems pretty legit to me. Of course, this is still very speculative and we cannot commit to trust this too much, but I firmly believe if they do decide to give us a Lich Class, a healing spec could also work super good, and it would be based around sacrificing stuff to heal and casting all kinds of rituals to invoke, I don't know, death shields. I mean, seriously, we could go wild with this. The Lich from Warcraft 3 has abilities that belong to Frost Mages and Death Knights, things like Frost Nova and Frost Armor and Death and Decay, but there is an interesting one that could work with the new class, Dark Ritual, which initially sacrificed a friendly unit so you could get some mana, but can be worked into something for healing. And now that I think about it, if the tank spec would work with Frost Magic, Frost Armor could be a mechanic for that, as our current Frost Mages have Ice Barrier, which would be a totally different beast. Now, the leak also states that all races will have the option to become Death Knights, and this ties in with the recent data mining of allied races and Pandaren DK skins. It would make a lot of sense for them to do a Lich King flavor expansion, since they certainly know that Rat is regarded by the community as the best they ever did. And it wouldn't be the first time they linked a past flavor to a new expansion. Just look at Burning Crusade and Legion. Elements like Burning Legion, Kil'jaeden, Edeldan, plus the whole Greenfell imagery have direct links between the two expansions, and we can pretty much agree that they are in a similar spot with BFA as they were with Warlords of Draenor, so a clean slate Death Theme Lich King expansion could serve them really good. Now, in the leak, there is info that Kel'Thuzad and Ner'zhul are making a return for the new story, as Northrend will be completely revamped and ICC will be transformed into some sort of 5-man mega dungeon. It also states that male armor type will be completely erased, having it move into plate and leather. And okay, I can smell some fertilizer here, but you gotta be excited too for the possibility of a Lich Class coming, no? At least let me know in the comments.
If you have been keeping up with the leaks here and there, this might not come as a surprise, but it's looking like the next expansion will be Disneyland. No, wait, that's already here in 8.3. Oh, that's the one. Wrath of Bolvar. No, sorry, no. Rise of the Lich Vanas. No, wait. Blizzard is desperate for Arthas. Wait, no, I can do this. Pandemonium. I know what you're thinking, but Flame, they gave us Pixar races already. Are they gonna kill them and raise them and make them playable DKs? And to you I say yes. And also, we will 100% have world quests with Candy Crush games in them, because Candy Crush is owned by Activision alongside the creative souls of WoW game designers, who decided it's a good idea to have my stuffed little plushie from when I was 5 as a playable allied race. Oh, I'm joking, I still have the stuffed plushie, but let's get serious for a moment here. Pandaren Death Knights. What? That's too ridiculous. Well, let me ease it in. Lightforged Draenei Death Knights. Yeah, I guess that's better. Seems about right. I have never felt like an old man not wanting his world of Warcraft to change this past week as much as I did, and I have to bite the bullet at this point and accept the fact that my once bloodthirsty orc that shined his axe on Draenei scum will now enjoy redemption on a bus with Volpera singing about how alpacas make such good friends. It's a wonderful world. The leaks that were present these past days make it more and more apparent that the next expansion will at least feature Bolvar 4 Dragon. I mean, the Ebon Blade have finally opened some chests with some sword upgrades. And let's talk about these for a second. In the leak, they are called, insert fantasy color here, Blade of the Ebon Blade. And one particular one has a red/orange Bolvar-like hue to it, because, well, Bolvar is the current Lich King. His character has been built up since Legion with the DK class campaign, and I was actually excited for more of him at the time. He felt like he had some secret plans. He felt a bit like Sylvanas in the fact that he always seemed to have an ulterior motive, not willing to share with us, but compelled to let us do the dirty work, which was dirty, let's be honest. We raided the Light's Hope Chapel for Tyrion's corpse. It's interesting to speculate what ties he would have with Sylvanas. I'm guessing he is more placed on the lawful neutral side of the good and evil chart. He has the interest of Azeroth in his heart, but he doesn't really have a beating heart anymore, meaning he's devoid of feelings to the point where he could desecrate the grave of the holiest man to have been celebrated and honored by the Paladin Order. Well, maybe accepting Alone's fall, but he's not really dead, so... Bolvar clearly has an agenda, and the fact that Blizzard introduced Talia in BFA clearly means they planned on building upon that character into a story arc that can unveil and include Bolvar finally after all these years. There's also the fact that the Frozen Throne connects our world with the Shadowlands, again playing into a lot of the speculations about what the next expansion would be. And if you really want to put 2 and 2 together, how many times has Sylvanas referenced death in the past expansion, with a very clear intent to work with it, or be it, or apply the concept to the entire world of Azeroth? At this point, it's very hard to imagine how the next expansion is not death related, and if they will do a death related expansion, then they have to include the Shadowlands, the ultimate death destination, because Wrath of the Lich King was more of a Scourge/Arthas expansion, more so than death. It was an undeath expansion. I'm not too sure about the in-game models showing pandas and Lightforged wearing Death Knight armor, and at this point I'm never getting what I want, so if they make it work, then I guess I'm fine with it. But what about you? Hit the comments and tell me what you think of Bolvar, Panda Death Knights, and Sylvanas.
And speaking of comments, in today's comment of the day we have Johannes Victor, and he said, "What the fuck is wrong with your humor?"
Obviously, Johannes is concerned with the current state of our comedic health system as he expresses his fear on things gone wrong within the humor department at our company. After much deliberation, consultation, brainstorming, feedback, meetings, reports, analytics, and some chocolate chip cookies, we have reached the final resolution. Johannes, if our humor is a problem, try powering off and powering back on your computer.
You think we're done with the speculation here? Oh no, you don't, because on the PTR we had a new build that contained a couple of brand new icons, and the build was taken down soon enough, but some data mining has been done while it was there. Now, most of the icons don't seem to tell much as we look at a couple of Valpyra shit, portals to Orgrimmar, Tomb of Sargeras, the Chamber of Heart, the Orgrimmar in Stormwind, Vision of the Zots, but there is quite a peculiar portal here to Ice Crown. Like, look, you can literally see Bolvar there all chilling and have a good time in his comfortable gaming chair. Now, why would they add new portals, and specifically, what would be the reason behind having a portal to ICC? I mean, if you needed even more proof that we're getting major content based on the Lich King mythos, here you go. And remember, these will be available for 8.3, so maybe, just maybe, Blizzard have something even more to show at BlizzCon that wasn't necessarily planned to be shown on Ian's patch preview, because, after all, he didn't talk much about the story now, did he? Plus, do you remember all that hype and talk when they remade Uther's tomb? Whatever happened to that? Maybe they will finally use that for something interesting, like a quest line tied up with this whole Dead Knight Bolvar Lich madness. Who knows? Good times, man. Good times ahead.
To be honest, I'm actually excited about Final Fantasy. Valpyra as an allied race. And if they could make them Death Knights, that would be pretty awesome. What? What? Okay, I'll let myself out.
It's dragon time, baby! Oh yeah! PTR had another 2 bosses ready for testing earlier this week, and 2 more that we couldn't test because we are making this shit. But the ones I had access to were Wrathion and Maut, the first 2 bosses of the raid. Now, before we delve into the details, first thing, spoiler alert. Second thing, this is still PTR, meaning a lot of the numbers, mechanics, and stuff might still change until it hits the live servers. So before trolling in the comments, remember, this is the first time we are essentially testing these. And Wrathion was pretty easy, all things considered. We did have Sevara this raid here, which was a famous difficult first boss of a raid, which is the gateway to the rest of the raid. And this one being 12 bosses long, the first one makes a lot of sense to be easy. To start off, I tanked the boss, and as far as tanking goes, it's actually super easy. He does a breath every few seconds that stacks, dealing fire damage, and you have to swap tanks. I noticed my partner in crime had a difficult time with more than 2 stacks, not sure because he was a warrior or maybe just not up to the task, but I was able to tank the boss solo after he died, getting up to 5 stacks. Although switching at 2 seems to be very smooth and seems to align with the timings better. He shoots people in the raid with fire shit, but I didn't really care about that because I was so overtaken with the majestic beauty of Wrathion's dragon form. Goddamn, did I miss tanking a big ass dragon. After a while, he jumps around the room shooting fire that spreads to what seems like 99% of the room with a very small safe spot, usually the farthest away from his position. You can spot it easier if you look at the ground where the fire will start spreading from. It felt like sprints, stampeding roars, and movement abilities are a must here, although tanking the boss in the middle seems to be even better in this sense. Last cool thing we noticed him do is spawn a bunch of destroyable spikes and about a few of the scales around the room. If you soak the scales that fell down, you get some gains and able to trample spikes to the ground. Most of these mechanics seem to do raid-wide damage as well, so you know. Overall, the fight was amazing, and at the end, it turns out that it was a vision of Ny'alotha, and both Wrathion and us were duped into thinking he succumbed to corruption. This raises the question, how many such events will be in 8.3, where things are not what they seem? Next boss, we get to see the 2 phases he had, which mechanically were very simple, but it did seem to be a DPS check. This one I wish we could have tested a bit longer, but the stars were not aligned, so we never downed it. He spawns void zones, which silence you, but protect you from some of his casts. He also spawns a minion whose health is actually the mana bar, and there are more mechanics revolving around the boss's mana, which I thought were really cool. The more damage you deal to him, especially in the burn phase, the more mana he loses and the less damage he eventually ends up dealing to the raid. There is some optimization needed, but I guess we will do that when it goes live. I do want to talk about the actual zone. From the map, it looked like we had access only to the beginning part, which in terms of paths and boss rooms, it felt a bit Uldir-ish, in the sense that after Rathian there were multiple rooms you could go to, so potentially we can choose and or skip bosses this way. And man, oh man, the dark theme, the architecture gave me an Encourage mixed with Doom vibe, and the tentacles in the background or in the abyss made this feel incredibly heavy, and I loved it. I cannot wait to see the other 2 bosses if we can finish the video on time. I talked a bit about how I don't like how the world of Warcraft is getting more and more lighthearted, even though the story seems to be a bit more mature and dark. So now let's talk about World of Warcraft the prequel, or how proper nerds call it, Warcraft 3 Reforged. We have been getting leaked models, animations, and all sorts of good stuff from the lovely Wowhead data miners. Well, not sure if Wowhead did any of the data mining themselves or they are just publishing the information, but hey, they are enablers such as Marcelian and I, so there. Warcraft 3 Reforged, also the game I pre-ordered the second the website stopped lagging, and have been rocking the meat wagon mount all this time. And I actually think it has a very close tie to the next expansion. Blizzard is many things, but when it comes to their games, announcements, and release schedules, they are pretty smart. Well, not always, but they learn, don't they? Well, anyway, I actually think, and I'm calling it, that Warcraft 3 Reforged is set to release when it is, because its aim is to build up hype for the next Death/Undeath/Lich King/Sylvanas' bonkers expansion. Hear me out. When most people think about Warcraft 3, they will probably think Frozen Throne first, and Arthas, one of the biggest characters present in both of the Warcraft 3 games, and the closing act of the Frozen Throne arc, the last arc in the game. Arthas, also responsible for one of the most beloved and popular WoW expansions in the past. And what better way to get people to care about a Lich King story coming in 9.0 than giving them the original story? I think Warcraft 3 Reforged is going to be a blast, not only for the story aspect, which on its own puts 99% of the WoW plots to shame, but for the reasons I just mentioned, and also esports. I will take this time and shout out RTS esports, one of the main reasons why Blizzard's games are doing so well these days. I love RTS esports, and I cannot wait to see what life is breathed into the game with the coming of a reforged Warcraft 3 game. He who created Dota and MOBA and then bit its own fat lip for not getting the rights for Dota when they were being spoon-fed to Blizzard. But I guess we can pile this on top of the many Blizzard regrets built over the years, and they have shown to make the company grow and learn from their mistakes, like fixing BFA with a Lich King, same way they fixed Draenor with a Illidan. And once we are out of old interesting lore characters to save every other expansion, then we can finally transition to Fortnite.
Alright, tell you what, man, I cannot be more excited for BlizzCon this year. If this shit turns out to be true and we can like almost be certain now the Lich King is coming back in one way or another.
I think it's almost guaranteed
like,
at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a Lich King expansion per se, but
probably not. Probably more death themed, the Shadowlands kind of stuff. Because we did, I mean, I did mention that we had Lich King in Wrath of the Lich King clearly, but that was more like a Scourgy undeathy type expansion. This one is like, what happens if you're not coming back as an undead?
Yes, and you know, being a death theme or possibly being a death theme expansion can really tie in with this Lich thing that could happen. One concern that I didn't touch on the video is, you know, the armor types and how the actual leeches in the game look, because they don't really have legs and stuff. They're all kind of like waving around their cloths and shit. That would be an interesting counter argument.
They do have chains, right? And maybe they can get the mail armor thing.
They can get creative. I'm sure they can make it work because, you know, we posted like a little troll lich model in the edit, and maybe you saw that stuff. So it could work, definitely. We will just have to see. But man, I'm telling you, BlizzCon is going to be amazing. I'm sure of it.
Man, I gotta say, if anything, they have a lot of potential for this year. There's a lot of good things, and have been building it up. And let's be honest, with all the cool 8.3 goods being, you know, shown before BlizzCon,
oh yes,
it's all uphill for me.
That's the thing, man. That's the thing. You know, Ian talked a lot about what's to come in 8.3. Nobody touched on the story. So there's a lot of shit there, like the ACC portal, all of the data mining with the allied races, death knights and stuff. There's shit happening story-wise and quest-wise that we don't know about. Thanks a lot to all of our Patreons. We love you guys.
Man, you guys keep coming in, man. I gotta say, man.
We got a lot of new Patreons from the community. Like we got Edward Word, we got Livid just like right about now. Who else? We have Stan last night. Stan, yeah, it was also from the community. So a lot of people, thank you guys so much for joining the Patreon and helping us out.
It's a lot.
It means the world to us. And you know, if there's anybody out there who's still interested in that, we have details in the description. You can find them below. And with that, we thank you so much for watching.
And see you on our stream, twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline. Let's not forget about that.
What? What was that?
Twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline. All right.
Bye-bye, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Have a nice weekend. Peace.
You are